Hello and welcome back to my channel where I like to have fun with all things beauty while being critical about what I accept into my collection. Today is a skincare empties video. So this is where I go through all of my empties that I keep in my little recycle bin in my bathroom, and I talk about whether or not I thought the products were good enough that I would repurchase them again. Before getting into that though, I wanted to quickly talk about what's on my face today. So today I am using my Glaminatrix Barely Basic palette, which is really beautiful. It's one of my favorite palettes by them, and the reason I pulled this out today is because I'm really struggling with deciding whether or not I'm going to pick up Nearly Natural. I know that it is slightly different, but when I put the two side by side, I feel like all of the shades in Nearly Natural that are different from Barely Basic are shades that I already have from other palettes, even the sparkly black. Like I have a really good Blend Bunny sparkly black that even if it's not quite as good as Glaminatrix, I don't use it that often that I think it would necessarily be a deal breaker. So let me know down below, what do you think? Would you like to see me review this palette? Glaminatrix is one of my favorite brands of all times, so I'll never be mad getting a palette from them. I have to be a little bit pickier with what palettes I do pick up from now on, just because money is a little tight right now. So for now, I was putting it on the wait for a sale list, but you know, I could be persuaded to pick it up sooner than that. The other thing on my face that I am testing out is the new Hourglass Illusion Hydrating Primer underneath the Chanel No. 1 foundation, which was always my second favorite foundation. For some reason, I don't love how my skin is looking today, and the last time I wore it, I kind of felt the same way, which is a shame because I just bought a backup at Ulta with Ulta points, but still, I mean, it could just be a coverage issue. I know the coverage of the Chanel No. 1 is a little bit lighter than the NARS, so maybe it's more about that than anything else. I do have a lot more hyperpigmentation than I used to. I had a CO2 laser done a few months ago, and it left me with a lot of new red marks on my face that I wasn't used to having to cover up. But let me know what you think if you noticed any difference between this video and my last video. The one thing I will say for the Hourglass primer is that so far it has played well with everything that I used it with. I do believe it is very silicone heavy, so I was worried that some of my water-based foundations may have an issue, but so far so good. So I'll definitely update when I fully review that primer in a couple weeks, but that's pretty much all of the interesting information about my makeup today. So that is it for my makeup today. Now we're going to jump into the skincare empties. The one exception being this little brow highlighter pencil is what I believe they're called. This is just a generic one that I found at the drugstore. I use this every time I finish an eye look underneath my brow to clean up my brow area. These are very soft and easy to blend out, but also easy to control because they're in a pencil form. Benefit has one, Anastasia has one, a lot of the famous brow brands have these. I don't think they need to cost a lot, but it is something that I use every day and I do rely on it. I don't care what brand, but I definitely have another one going already. That is the only makeup item. The other thing I wanted to get out of the way because it's just taking up too much room on my desk is my body lotion. So this is my favorite body lotion of all time. I just talked about it in my last video about affordable skincare. This is the Palmer's Cocoa Butter Formula, the value size. I always get the value size because I love this stuff. I will say I don't like the other versions of it. I only buy the cocoa butter one. I did get a value size of the shea butter one because I've used shea butter based lotions and I always thought they were great, so I thought, why not the Palmer's one? That did not work for me. It didn't absorb into my skin for whatever reason. I have no idea. Like I said, I've used plenty of shea butter products and love them, but with Palmer's, I really only like the cocoa butter. When I googled this for my last video, this big boy, which is 1 liter or 33.8 fluid ounces, was going for around $19, but I just saw it on sale for like 12 bucks. So if this stuff works for you, I would definitely jump on that. They also seem to be introducing a new scent with Tahitian vanilla, so I grabbed one of those even though they only have the smaller size because this smells like chocolate. I mean, it's absolutely delicious. I can't get enough of it. It sinks in nicely. It doesn't get on my clothes. I use it every single day after my shower. It's super pleasant to put on, but the scent doesn't linger, so it doesn't mess with any of the perfumes that I might want to wear that day. I can't sing the praises of this enough. I've used much higher end lotions and none of them have beat this in my routine. For everything else, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the more exciting things. So if you've watched a bunch of these videos and you don't want to hear me go on about the things that I've bought multiple times, you don't have to listen to that. I'm going to go over the things that were a little bit more experimental first. So on the top of that list was this from Regeron. This is the Turnover Ample. It's PDRN at 0.5%, and this is salmon-derived PDRN. This is the company that makes the injections. I've talked about it before, so I don't want to go on at length, but I did try a little experiment with that. It didn't go so well, but I also was going to a provider that I really not have a good experience with. So I don't want to say that that's all the PDRN's fault, but the brand they used there was Regeron. This was on sale around the holidays, so I picked it up right before the beginning of the year, and I couldn't use it right away because my skin was healing from getting a CO2 laser from the same person, and needless to say, that didn't go well either. But anyway, I couldn't use it until my skin was fully healed from that. And then about a month ago, I broke into this and I really enjoyed it. As a soothing, hydrating serum, this was fabulous. It felt great on my skin, played well with everything, no complaints there. My only complaint with it is how quickly I went through this. This is 1 fluid ounce, and I have plenty of other serums that are 1 fluid ounce that lasted much longer. I think because this is so thick, and as you can see, the dropper is quite large. So I would, scoop some up and then drop it into my hand, get, about a dime-sized amount and use it every day. I wanted to use it twice a day, and then near the end of the bottle, I was only using it once a day, and I felt like it didn't even last 3 weeks. Like, I went through this way too fast. So based on that, I don't think I'll buy this again. I also didn't see any crazy results from it. So I try to give everything a minimum of a month. I would like to give all of my skincare 3 months to really make an informed decision, but I just couldn't justify it. I felt like if I was going to go with salmon-derived PDRN, this was probably a solid choice. I don't know. I might revisit it in the future, but at least for now, I'm just not going to go out of my way to repurchase it unless I saw a really good sale. If I saw a really good sale, I would, because like I said, it was totally enjoyable, just not groundbreaking in any way. The second most interesting thing I think I have here is this from Numbuzin. I have the NAD Bio Essence. This is with like 1 billion peptides. I can't read any of the ingredients because it's all in Korean, but this was another thing that was highly, highly enjoyable. Putting this on every day was an absolute joy. It was comforting, it was soothing, it felt great, it left my skin feeling hydrated, and I'd say I went through this too quick too. I definitely did. Not as quick as the Regeron, but I'd say this lasted at least a month, using it every day, morning and night, and at the end of it, I didn't feel like I noticed any significant improvements. Because this was a lot more affordable, I would consider getting this again. I would definitely give this another try, but I'll admit I'm skeptical that it's actually doing anything. I believe this got popular for the sheer number of peptides that it contained, and while I like to cast a wide net when it comes to peptides because we don't have a ton of research about them, we just know that they're hydrating and that kind of thing, and we're not totally sure which ones work the best. You might as well try a bunch. Why not? I'm concerned because there are so many. I wonder what the amounts are. And if the amounts aren't really significant enough to make a difference, are you really even trying those peptides? So it's kind of murky, to say the least. The other thing about this is obviously they're highlighting the NAD ingredient because it's right in the name. And I am skeptical about that, to say the least. There's been a lot of buzz about that stuff lately when it comes to anti-aging. Most of it in terms of vitamins and taking it internally, which I experimented with about 10 years ago. I had a really bad reaction, so I haven't gone back to it since, but needless to say, they are studying it for internal benefits. Whether or not you can get any of those benefits when you put it on topically, I have heard even less about that. So I'm concerned that they're doing that for the buzzworthy nature of putting that in the title, but whatever. I mean, it could be beneficial. Who knows? At the end of the day, this was a nice serum and I enjoyed using it. One that I would consider buying again. Another serum that I have here that I never tried before is this Shivana Youth Serum. This was something that I got from the practitioner that did the CO2 laser and the PDRN injections, who I have absolutely no faith in. They gave this to me as a gift. I would definitely not purchase this again. This was just a face oil. It has a bunch of herbs in it that are supposed to do miraculous things. It's a lot of clean marketing, and I used it up because it's like, you know, it's a facial oil, but that's going to be a no for me on purchasing that again. And I actually think that's it in terms of products that I have never tried before. Everything else here I have tried at least once before, but a number of these things I haven't talked about here very often. So I will start with the Photozyme MD, the DNA Youth Recovery Serum. This is a mini. I have bought at least 2 full size of these in the past. The reason I revisited this is because it contains an ingredient that I am sensitive to. My skin has become more sensitive recently. So back when I bought this before I could tolerate it, and I'm really not able to tolerate it. I ended up using this on my décolleté because I could easily tolerate it there, but I really wanted to try this with LED therapy because this contains photolyase, which is a DNA repair enzyme that is activated by light. Any type of ambient light will be enough to activate it. You don't need to use it with an LED mask. I just figured might as well pair the two together, that type of thing. I just wanted to see, I just wanted to sort of test the waters and see if I still had a sensitivity to it, and I in fact do. So unfortunately, I will not be purchasing this again. I would recommend trying it though. I think DNA repair enzymes are super interesting. I see them paired with sunscreen a lot, and I just think it's great to have it on board. It's not the type of thing that I think we have enough data on to be spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on it, but if you're like me and you have some issues with vitamin C and other antioxidants, and you're interested in dipping your toes into the DNA repair, you might want to try it. Unfortunately, I won't be repurchasing that because that one doesn't work for me, and the other ones on the market are a lot more expensive. So for now, I'm just going without it. I'm using CoQ10 instead, and that's my antioxidant of choice. But I think this would work for most people. So I don't think you would be mad if you wanted to give something like this a try. The formula is great. You know, it played well with everything. Before I was sensitive to it, I was using it morning and night, and it was great. So something to look into if you're interested. Speaking of antioxidants, I have finished a Beekman 1802 Golden Booster. This is Amia Berry with vitamin C serum. This is a vitamin C derivative. I don't believe it contained L-ascorbic acid, and if it did, not in an appreciable amount. This was just a very easygoing way to incorporate a little bit of vitamin C without the irritation, and I enjoyed it. I won't be purchasing this again because I don't really think it added that much to my routine, but I got it as part of a set. And Beekman 1802 is just one of those safe brands for me that I know my skin's not going to react, so I try it if it's a sale or for whatever reason. I can always pick something up and I don't have to worry about not being able to use it. The one thing I didn't like about this is the packaging, because even though it's really beautiful and aesthetic and it looks nice sitting on the counter, it is impossible to get the bottom of the jar out. This little dropper is so short that you feel like it's not even getting to the bottom of the jar. And then even when I put it like this on my counter for days and days, I wasn't able to get the rest out. The rest is still stuck in the side, like in the ridge in the top. So I know that I'm wasting serum because there's no way that I could possibly extract it from this container. And that's a bummer. You know, I really like to feel like I'm getting everything out of my skincare. I hate throwing product away, so I was kind of annoyed by that. It wouldn't be bad enough to be a deal breaker, but just something to know in case you've been looking at any of the products from Beekman that are in containers like this. I actually have a bunch going right now. Got a whole lot of Beekman 1802 last Christmas as a gift, so I'm going through those, and no complaints outside of not being able to get all the product out. Another thing I tried from Beekman was their Mushroom Milk Better Aging Eye Cream with 5% hexapeptide, 5 mushrooms, and goat milk. As you can see, I've chopped that up with a scissor, so I was able to get everything out of this package. and I liked it. It's an eye cream, you know, it wasn't life-changing, it didn't do anything dramatic, but it was soothing, it was hydrating, I could wear it under makeup, it went well with everything, so no complaints. I won't buy it again, but it was enjoyable to use. It was definitely hydrating, and it did all of the things that I expect from an eye cream. The final empty from them that I have for this video is their Milk RX. So this is their Advanced Better Aging Cream. Renexosome Polypeptide Complex. I might be butchering that. But this was actually recently in a sale where I was able, I think it was the Ulta 21 Days of Beauty. So I got a whole nother one of these that I'm actually going through now, and I really enjoyed it. It's refillable, the container is glass, it's beautiful, it's really nicely formulated, it sinks in nicely, does all the things. From what I could see, the polypeptide complex is interesting, but I don't know that it's game-changing. This didn't really do anything for me that would ever make me pay full price. This is the kind of thing that if I saw it 50% off, I would absolutely buy it again because I have dry skin. I love my moisturizer. But do I think this did anything other than moisturize my skin? No, I really didn't. So in the future, I would repurchase something affordable. I wouldn't go out of my way for this. But if it's 50% off, sign me up. Another moisturizer that I feel very similarly about is this from Peach and Lily. This is the Rescue Party Barrier Comfort Cream. I got this 50% off also at Ulta. And I believe this is the second one of these that I've tried, so I knew that it worked for me. I like Peach and Lily. I don't go out of my way for their stuff, but most of what I've tried I've liked. I would buy this again in a heartbeat if it was 50% off. I won't be purchasing it again at full price just because, just like the other one, it didn't do anything for me to feel like this really warrants the price. There have been a few luxury moisturizers that I do feel are more worth the money. These were just really nice. They didn't beat out this for a fraction of the price, so that's why I really only go for them when they're on sale. Another item that I've talked about but not recently is this from SK2. This is their facial treatment essence. This is the 75 ml, so the $100 bottle. I've always really liked SK2. I used SK2 before my wedding to help with hyperpigmentation because I do think it helps. I never really saw any improvements. I used to be religious with SkinCeuticals vitamin C. I used that for months and months, and a bunch of other stuff for hyperpigmentation. None of it really made a difference. Hydroquinone, that made a difference, but everything else was minimal to no difference at all, except for SK2. And because of that, I put this on board when I feel like I really need it. I don't go out of my way. It's too expensive to use it all the time. But after my CO2 laser debacle and I had so much new hyperpigmentation to contend with, I invested in this. I actually got a much bigger bottle from Stylevana for some crazy deal. I think I got that 200 ml for like $50 more than this. It was crazy. I was so happy to find that because I'm still using it and it absolutely takes a long time, but it does make a difference and I've seen modest improvement. There will be another empty of that in the future, but after that, who knows? I mean, it's kind of the type of thing where I go for it when I can, but certainly not all the time. And that might be it for the new, but something else that I've definitely gone through several of is the Cosrx, the 6 Peptide Skin Booster. So this was part of an Ulta sale, I think last year, and I got 2 full sizes. So I've gone through 2 or 3 of these full size. It's hyaluronic acid, NAD, and amino acids, and it's supposed to even skin tone, hydrate, firm and smooth, pore and sebum care, improve texture. You know, it's fine. I mean, it's very watery. It sinks into the skin quickly, so it's easygoing. You can throw it on and it plays well with everything. It doesn't interfere. It's easy to use. It's great for all of that. However, after going through that many bottles of it, when I stopped having it in my routine, I didn't miss it. So based on that, I'm just not going to go out of my way for this unless it's 50% off. Another thing that I feel similarly about is the Farmacy Wake Up Honey Eye Cream. This was fine. It's an eye cream. Like, it didn't perform miracles, but it was nice. So if it was on sale, I would get it. Otherwise, I wouldn't pay full price. I would say maybe keep an eye on this if you have super dry skin, because this is a lot thicker of an eye cream than a lot of the other eye creams I have. But other than being good for extra dry skin, This is just an average eye cream. It does have caffeine, so I liked that. And again, nice, but I don't need it. So now we're getting into the more tried and trues in my collection. So I actually have 2 bottles of the Manyo Bifida Biome Complex Ampoule. These are the bigger bottles, I believe, 50 ml each. I think they do have a smaller bottle. I could be wrong about that, but I think that this is the better value of the 2. And I love this stuff. I can't fully put my finger on why. I've talked about this a lot in the past, so I don't want to go on too long. It's similar to what's in the Estee Lauder Advanced Night Serum. It's the Bifida is the magic ingredient. I feel like it soothes my skin over time. I know when I go without it, I don't notice a dramatic decline in, sensitivity and that kind of thing. And who knows, maybe it's all in my head, but I feel like this makes my skin a little bit less reactive, and it just has a nice ingredient deck. So I'm like, why not? If I can buy it, I will. If this is one of the casualties from not being able to access K-beauty in the future, I'm going to be sad about it. It's not going to be the end of the world, and I'm not going to stock up because I can't afford to do that right now. But it is one that I'm going to miss, and something that I really look forward to reincorporating in the future if I find a new way to buy it. Another serum that I have 2 empties of is this Aquafix from Chemist Confessions. I've gone through countless of these and I've waxed poetic like for years and years now, so I'm gonna try to keep it short and sweet. This has glycerin, sodium PCA, panthenol, allantoin, madecassoside, asiaticoside, and sodium hyaluronate. It is simple and effective, and my skin loves it. The second I put this on, I feel soothed. If you have sensitive skin, you might understand what that feels like, but they say it's soothing and hydrating, and it is soothing and hydrating, and I love this stuff. I can't use it on my own. Like if you have dry skin, you would need to put something more occlusive on top of it, but I have not heard enough buzz about this brand. I love the people who run it. I follow them on Instagram. They are science communicators. They put their heart and soul into this stuff, and they do their best to combat misinformation, and I love them for that. I have tried their entire lineup, and it's all fantastic. It's all a little bit too expensive for me to keep buying it, so I only repurchased this, but I would repurchase the whole lineup in a heartbeat. It is fabulous. Speaking of fabulous, I have an empty of my Byoma Barrier Repair Treatment. I talked about this a lot in my last video, so I'll keep it to a minimum here. This is just a super affordable moisturizer with very cosmetically elegant finish. It leaves my skin feeling hydrated and protected, and I can wear it under makeup. I've used it even as a primer. I love the finish of it. I think this would be way too thick if you have normal to oily skin during the day. You probably wouldn't like it, but at night I think it would work for you. And if you have dry sensitive skin and haven't given this one a go, I would definitely look into it. I've also tried their moisturizer. I don't like their moisturizer. I don't like the finish of that nearly as much as this. I feel like this feels exactly like the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream, like the finish of that is just so beautiful and dewy. This looks just like that, except unlike that one, I can use this one because I'm sensitive to something in that other cream. Can't recommend this enough. Last, for skincare, I have an empty of my Agency Dark Spot formula. This is azelaic acid at 10%, kojic acid at 4%, resveratrol at 1%, and EGCG at 2%. This is a nice dark spot formula. I don't know that it's made a big difference in my life, but I like having it on board. I feel like it is affordable getting it through Agency. I should also have an empty of my tretinoin that I get through them, but I had to pause my tretinoin after I was healing from the laser, so that's why I have an empty of this and I don't have an empty of that one. But I've gone on at length about both of those also, so I won't bore you with the details. I think things like tranexamic acid and kojic acid can make a bit of a difference, but I do think it takes time, and I think it's subtle. So like for me, it's really hard to say one way or another. I would say if I get to a point where I can't afford keeping both formulas, I will stop buying the dark spot formula and stick with the tretinoin only, and I think I'll be okay with that. I don't think it'll be the end of the world. That formula matters a lot more than this one. but it is nice to have, and I rather have it on board than not. Not really skincare, but I also have 2 empties of my Avene thermal water. I was able to get a few of these on sale, so I jumped on it. I think it was like a Prime Day thing or something, where it cost closer to what it should cost. I think it was like $12 a bottle. Normally it's $19, which is crazy. Honestly, I would buy a canister for this and make my own if I had an affordable way to get water that isn't hard. My whole reason for using this in the first place is that we have very hard water where I am, and I feel like my eczema or psoriasis and pretty much all of my skin issues have gotten worse since moving here. We can't afford to put a water softener on the whole house, so what I've done is just incorporated this. I wash my face with my sink water, obviously, and then I pat it dry, and then I go on top with this and I pat that dry as my last step, and in my head I think it makes a difference. I could be totally wrong, but I don't go through these that fast that it's unaffordable. You know, it is one of those little luxuries that I don't think I absolutely need. And like I said, they sell empty canisters like this, so you could fill them with your own water, and it does the same continuous mist spray. The sprayers on these are really nice. A lot of people buy them just for that. So I wish that I could make my own. I don't really have a reasonable way of doing that, so I keep buying them. But 300 mils will probably last me a few months, so I feel okay enough. Not saying everybody needs to do that. It's something I enjoy. So it is what it is. The last skincare product I have to talk about is an empty of my Reinman P20 Kids Sunscreen. So this is my absolute favorite sunscreen for day to day. I live in South Florida. It's extremely sunny. I have 2 dogs. I'm outside a lot with them. I like this stuff the most for tenacious protection. I have worn it under makeup. It can be done. Like I can do that if I need to. It's not the most elegant because it's thick, but because of that, I feel better about it. I actually like that it's thick because I feel like I'm really being protected. I love my K-Beauty sunscreens, and I have a ton, and those are the ones that I prefer to wear under makeup. They're cosmetically elegant, they disappear, it feels like you don't even have sunscreen on. This could be partially just a mental thing, just the fact that I can feel the layer of it. I know that the sun is not getting through. It dries down clear, and I've just had really good experience with this. I've gone through probably 10 of these in my lifetime. I keep buying them, but I have to import them. So Cloud 10 Beauty, Care 2 Beauty, those are 2 different retailers that I can get shipping to the US that could be different in the future. So I did go ahead and buy a backup of this, and it did just get here yesterday, and I'm nervous for the future. I have been able to source local sunscreens, I guess, that do the job, but I hope I can keep buying this one because this is absolutely my preference. My final category is cleansers. So I have a number of different types of cleansers. I don't know that I've done a video like this since last year, so that might be why there are so many. I do kind of go through cleanser a little bit too quick, but anyway, there are a bunch here, and all of them I got on sale. So I don't spend money on cleanser, but I do pay attention to what cleansers I do buy because I don't want to strip my barrier. So all of these cleansers pass that test, and they all work great for my sensitive skin. First up, one that I've purchased probably 10 different times is the Pyunkang Deep Clear Cleansing Balm. So this is just great. It's great. It's easygoing. It does what it's supposed to. I really like it. I usually go for that one whenever I see the price drop. I also went through an e.l.f. Skin Holy Hydration. This was fine. I like the formula of this a lot, but it's so small that even though it's affordable, I will buy other cleansing balms instead because it's kind of silly. Like, I just go through this too quickly. It doesn't make sense for me. If I didn't wear makeup and sunscreen every day, maybe that would be a different story. But because of the amount that I need, it's just not worth it for me to keep buying that one unless it's on sale. I also tried a Keys Soul Care Nourishing Cleansing Balm. This was so nice to use. This was so luxurious. It smells like vanilla, but like a woodsy vanilla. Warm vanilla woods maybe would be the best description. It's just fantastic. I really, really love this stuff. I was able to get it 50% off. If I didn't get it at that price, I would not go out of my way for it because I can't justify it. But if you ever see this stuff on sale, I highly, highly recommend. For cleansing oils, I have the Purito from Green Cleansing Oil. I've gone through a few of these, and this was fine. I don't know that it was the most tenacious at getting, waterproof mascara off, for example, but it was good enough to use as a first step cleanse. I felt the same way about the Bioderma Micellar Cleansing Oil. It's good. I mean, it was a light cleansing oil. I think both of these I got because they were on sale. So they're both ones that I might buy again, but I do feel something like the DHC is a lot more effective as far as cleansing oils go. But in a pinch, these work just fine. For a second cleanse, I only have one. So I have the Experiment Plasma Wash, the Moisture Depositing Gel Cream Cleanser. I loved this. I loved this so much. I was able to get this on sale, I think at Urban Outfitters during one of their holiday sales at the end of last year. And I remember at the time I was using another cleanser, so I had to wait until I finished that to crack into this. But once I did, it was glorious. It's just soothing, comforting. I absolutely loved it. I don't know that it's something that I would drop everything for at full price, but once I finally do run out of all of the other cleansers that I have right now, this is one that I would absolutely get again in a heartbeat. Loved it. I actually loved everything I've ever tried from Experiment. I don't think they have a huge product line, but I really like everything. Actually, I have their lip balm sitting right here on my desk. This is my favorite lip balm, and I have I feel like I have thousands of lip balms. Like my lip balm situation is a little bit horrible and embarrassing right now, but this stands out. This manages to stand out because this stays all night. It lasts on my lips all night, and it actually makes them feel more moisturized. It just doesn't cover up the dry skin. It helps moisturize it. So can't say enough about Experiment. Really love that brand. Finally, my last empty here is an Olaplex, a Bond Maintenance Clarifying Shampoo. This is a great clarifying shampoo. I mean, it's a clarifying shampoo. There's not much for me to say other than I've had good luck with everything that I've tried from Olaplex. I always like to say that I don't spend money on my hair, but I do buy Olaplex because I like to be able to get a brush through it, and Olaplex helps me do that. So I'm a big fan, and I do keep going back for their products. I'm almost always using especially their conditioner. I'm a big fan of that. I will buy this again. I'm in no hurry, but I got this on sale, and probably if I see another sale, I'll probably get another one at some point. I like to use a clarifying shampoo before I dye my hair, so for that reason, I'll probably buy another one soon. And that is it. That is everything. That's everything in my garbage. I'm ecstatic that I can finally throw this stuff away. I know my channel is mostly makeup, but I absolutely love talking about skincare because I love the science behind it and I find it super interesting, and I love trying things. So if you've sat through this, I hope it was entertaining. I'm not totally sure what my next video is going to be. It might be Sephora haul, or there's a couple things on the agenda that I have that I want to speak about. I know in this video I touched on the CO2 laser and the debacle of it all, and honestly, I'm kind of depressed about that situation. It really didn't go well for me, and I've wanted to make a video about it for a while. I did need to wait until I got a second opinion from another doctor, and I did that, and I don't think I have any permanent damage. So that's somewhat comforting, I guess, but I've had new issues crop up since then, and I do think that I still need to see a dermatologist. So that video was postponed longer than I wanted it to, but it is still something that I want to talk about at some point. I definitely didn't forget. But if you've sat through this video, I appreciate it so much. I hope you're having a beautiful day or night wherever you are. I love you. I hope you're taking care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.